So, I'm opening a store in Chicago, and it's been a. I've been wondering for a long time what the store actually sells because I have all kinds of things. Like, for instance, look at these tuners and a guitar head. Or how about a candle snowman, snow person. Anyway, but I didn't. This is all from the leftovers from the magic shop. Anybody who's been following along here, this episode 1 started in the magic shop, which would be Magic Incorporated, and the magic shop moved, and the building was sold, and everything of value was taken out, and there were still piles and piles of stuff left. So I have all kinds of little things. Like, look at this, little oil can. But then I piled it all in here, and it looks like a junk shop, and I don't want to own or run or be the proprietor of a junk shop or a used bookstore. It looks like a junk shop, used bookstore. So I've been thinking, well, what do I have of value to sell? And I realized that what I think I have of value to sell is a whole bunch of ideas. Because I've been floating through the world and thinking for 40 years straight. And I've made some observations and I have some ideas. And I think these ideas of mine are what I have of value to sell. So I realized what you do is you start with a free one, and then if people like it, then you get them kind of hooked on your ideas. And then hopefully, people who are interested will pay. Now, I just was remembering. Now, this is not the free idea, but I'll say some people I know are getting into this. I think it's a William Hoff method, where you make yourself extremely uncomfortable. You immerse yourself in ice water and things like that, and I've only read memes now. I don't practice it, and I'm just now learning about it. But I saw a picture of a guy sitting in a lake, like, who had cut a hole in the ice, and he's sitting in the lake with a big smile on his face, and it said something about, if you never leave your comfort zone, something, something, something. And so I thought that really is not likely to catch on widely, but what they should have, here's one idea I'll give you for free. This is not what I intended to say. I'll get to what I intended to say in a moment, but here's one idea I had that's for free. If you want this idea to succeed as a business venture, this William Hoff thing, the thing to do is to offer a kind of a yin-yang experience where because you want people to travel in pairs as partners, and it's quite likely that the other partner would like the opposite thing. So if that guy wants to go cut a hole in the ice and bathe in a freezing cold lake, that's his business. His partner may like to stay back in the lodge and soak their feet in the sauna or something like that. So I think for that to be a viable business venture, you need to yin-yang it, which is to say, package it with its opposite. So if you take that William Hoff method, the guy who wants to sit in an ice bath for as long as he possibly can, and you yin-yang it, and you get to the opposite side, so that the person who does want to be comfortable, well, package that together so that the wife, let's say, could stay in the hotel and get a pedicure while the husband's out diving in the lake, right? So there's a free business idea for somebody who's looking at this William Hoff method and they want to make their life the William Hoff method. Well, package it with something for the person's partner, and then you can sell it to them as a pair. Now, that's not really the caliber idea I'm really talking about. So what I started to say was that what I feel like I have that's valuable to sell is simply a bunch of ideas. And so I wanted to start with a giveaway one. And this is something that I discovered on my own, and I just feel like this is extremely valuable knowledge. That thing I just said about William Hoff was just kind of a toss-off. I just thought about that yesterday in response to a meme, or a meme, as our friends say. But anyway, but this next idea, this is something that I think is valuable information. I'm going to present it as a valuable information that I'm going to happily share, because I want more people to possess this valuable information. But I'm also presenting it as a kind of a bait to hook you into my general world of ideas, where ultimately, when they get bigger, I'll start charging for it. Because this is a store and it has to sell something. So what I'm going to start selling is all these kooky ideas I've dreamed up. So here's a free one that I think is honestly valuable. I had this job. I used to have this job up the street, the magic shop. I arrived in 2002, and I worked there for a while. We published Revolutionary Card Technique. I showed up and published that book, and so there was a nice splash when I got there. But the book was ready to be published, and I just was the one who noticed. I saw all the pieces were there. We published the book, but then the magic shop couldn't really afford another employee, so I got this job up the street. And I used to drive this Nissan Sentra that I bought off of Al James. Famous Chicago magician Al James was moving up in the world, and he sold me his Nissan Sentra, and he bought a Cadillac, and the Cadillac was busted within 6 months, and I drove that his old car for another 3 years. So anyway, I had this job up the street from the magic shop, and it was a couple miles away, and sometimes I would drive and sometimes I would ride my bicycle. And the bicycle ride was up the River Park Trail, so it was really nice. So I'm talking about going up Lincoln Ave to like 7,000 up. There used to be a Borders Books up there, way up by that mall, up by, I guess that would be Toohey or Devon, up near Devon, where Lincoln and Devon cross. So it was a nice little bike ride, but then sometimes I would drive. So here's the little idea I'm going to share with you that I think is worth money. I noticed that when I rode my bike, I arrived at the job kind of in a reduced stress state of mind. And that when I drove my car, I arrived at the job in an increased stress state of mind. So driving there was a stressful experience. Driving there created stress because first of all, you start the car, you're in the driveway, you have to back out into traffic. Annoying, right? It's a hassle. Nobody wants to let you in. Then you finally... So what I used to do is, well, anyway, I had this little back way I went. I found the quickest way to get there. But still, sometimes you hit the light. Sometimes you didn't hit the light. Sometimes there's people in your way, blah-de-blah, all these things. And so driving there was a stress creator. And I would walk through the door at the job, having to kind of shake off this annoying ride I just had. Whereas when I rode my bicycle, I arrived like in a kind of refreshed state of mind. So I wasn't neutral when I rode my bike. It was actually in a kind of a more refreshed state than neutral. So driving created stress and biking reduced stress. And so that to me, I just sold the car the other day. The Previa is gone. And it's like a load off my shoulders, And so to try to create a life where you don't need a car, or you use a car as little as possible, you can have a group car, I'm thinking ultimately we might have a group here and a group car, so that we can spread out this car owning stress, because sometimes you might need a car. But everybody owning a car is no longer really realistic. Anyway, there's your freebie. Send your questions on a $20 bill. Thanks very much. See you. Bye.